Cherokee 28 Romeo, southwest departure, runway 17, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 17, southwest departure, 28 Romeo.
Tacoma Narrows Tower, Seminole 3117 Alpha. We're about 3 miles to the north of the pretty bridge. We're going to intercept ILS final for runway 17 for check ride purposes, like a full stop.
Cessna 43 Romeo, start your base, runway 17, clear touch and go.
I start my base.
All right, full power applied.
Touch and go, runway 17.
Engine instruments in the green, power's available for takeoff. Airspeed and Kirchhoff coming up on 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. Slight back pressure on the control wheel.
3 miles north of the pretty bridge. Information Yankee. We'd like to intercept final at
ground.
10.
Hello and welcome to today's video. Today is February 19th, 2023. And today I want to discuss a flight that I took on June 1st, 2021. And something that I experienced there that I've been reluctant to talk about until now. I think one of the things that emboldened me to discuss this now is some recent news events that have been seen in the media throughout the world regarding U.S. military footage of what they refer to as unidentified aerial phenomena, or UFOs. And more recently, the shooting down of a surveillance balloon off the coast of North Carolina, and lots of discussions surrounding that regarding UFOs.
The U.S. military is now detecting more items in the sky after changing radar settings in the wake of the Chinese spy balloon.
The military needs to have a plan to not only determine what's out there, but determine the dangers that go with it.
Is this sort of bigger aperture picking up lots of stuff that has essentially been forgiven, sort of, around in the skies, whatever else it is, because it didn't pose a threat? Or is it part of something organized for whatever surveillance?
These unidentified aerial phenomena have been reported for many years without explanation or deep examination by the government.
Even more recently, just within the last 2 days, there's been a story about what they call the Mosul orb, or something that was recorded on surveillance video in Mosul during combat operations in Iraq.
It is the responsibility of the Department of Defense to be honest with the American public and to use ARROW, which has been established to deal with the UAP and UFO issue, to come forward and present the truth to the American public.
Jeremy Corbell is a documentary filmmaker.
What was splashed? Mark bearing and range.
He has released several images of UFOs, some of which have been verified by the U.S. government.
Civil society groups like the Mutual UFO Network, Mr. Corbell and others have been collecting data on this issue for years.
Most recently, he released this image, which he claims shows the first UFO filmed by the U.S. military in a conflict zone.
What you see in this image is you see the first ever released U.S. military filmed UFO over a conflict zone that is officially designated UFO or UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, that is actively being investigated.
The Department of Defense and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence declined to comment on this image. CNN has not independently verified its authenticity.
And it's called the Mosul orb.
Mosul, Iraq.
Correct, yeah, this is an image taken over northern Iraq. It's military filmed and it's part of active UFO investigations. The one difference is that it's over a conflict zone, which everybody should really think about that. The implications of what that means.
A recent report to Congress revealed the government cannot explain 171 of the UAPs reported to the military.
This is uncharted territory. We are topographers that are kind of mapping out a new territory. A lot of things are being learned and understood. This UFO phenomenon that they call UAP, this is now being destigmatized, so the reporting is getting better.
More importantly to me, and specific to this video, is the object in that picture and its description identically fits what I saw from my airplane at 3,500 feet while flying just west of Toledo Airport in Toledo, Washington. What you see on your screen is taken from the Federal Aviation Administration Air Traffic Publications Section 8 out of Chapter 9, which reads, persons wanting to report UFO unexplained phenomena activity should contact the UFO Unexplained Phenomena Reporting Data Collection Center, such as the National UFO Reporting Center. If concern is expressed that life or property might be endangered, report the activity to the local law enforcement department. Now, several days after I made this sighting, I did report this to a UFO reporting center in the Northwest United States, along with some images that were captured from a recording in the cockpit that contains automatic detection surveillance broadcast data, specifically the exact ground track and altitude and ground speed of my airplane and the location that I made the sighting. However, I will add that prior to making that report, I did contact the manager of the airport near where I made the sighting, which is Toledo Airport in Toledo, Washington, to ask him if anyone else made any similar observations either before, during, or after the sighting that I made. He indicated that there were no such reports made to him. Furthermore, I contacted the manager of a parachute operation that operates out of Toledo Airport to see if there were parachute operations going on the day that I made the observation. She indicated to me that there were no parachute operations on the day in question. I wanted to rule out the remote possibility that there might have been some parachute activity that contributed to what it was I observed, even though what I did see did not at all appear to be a parachute.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Before talking about the flight in question, I wanted to provide a little bit of background about myself. I'm a commercial instrument-rated pilot. I received my flight training through a U.S. agency, and I flew in support of tactical operations, primarily surveillance operations. At the time of the flight on June 1, 2021, I had been a pilot for 20 years. What you're seeing on the screen is a display of actual aircraft, real-time, being displayed on a four-flight aeronautical sectional. And if I click on any one of these targets, it's going to give me the information. In this case, we're looking at a flight 2503. It's at 2,300 feet, 11.8 nautical miles east of our current position on heading 180. Speed is 217 knots. There you see it's a Delta Airlines, a Boeing 738. And this is being broadcast courtesy of FlightAware. So these are the data, these are the targets that you can see on the iPad in the cockpit. And at the time that I made this observation, I quickly looked to my iPad screen to see if ForeFlight was displaying any data related to what I was seeing at about my 11 o'clock position, approximately 2 to 3 nautical miles away from my aircraft. There was no ADS-B data being displayed, so I turned to, and fortunately I had a passenger with me seated in the co-pilot position to confirm what it was I was seeing. And I said to my passenger, I said, "Do you see that right there, that aircraft?" I said, "Keep an eye out for it. It looks like it's maybe on a converging path to us, so we want to make sure we avoid it." Again, I glanced down at my screen. I didn't see any data on what is known as the Automatic Detection Surveillance Broadcast System. That is a system whereby your airplane is transmitting ADS-B data to ground-based stations as well as other aircraft within a certain perimeter of your airplane. Those data are then transmitted and displayed as you can see them here on the screen. They can also be preserved, and I'm going to show you the exact flight track of the flight that we took on the day in question, June 1, 2021. You're going to see our airplane's position, its ground speed, altitude, and we're also going to show you where the airports are in the immediate vicinity of the airplane. So I just want to kind of give you a foundational background of what it was we were seeing in the cockpit and what data was available to us when we made that observation. What you're seeing here is the actual track log of the flight on June 1, 2021. Took off from Tacoma Narrows Airport, that's Kilo Tango India Whiskey in Gig Harbor, Washington, on a southwest heading. I took the flight direct to the Olympia VOR. Here you can see it. This is actually 20 times of the actual recording. So 20 times speed, and there you can see it's 12:24 p.m. local time. We cross the Olympia VOR and then head about 180. You can see the altitude down below, about 3,700 feet. And I'm going to stop it right where we first made the observation at 12:42 p.m. local time. So right there, I'm going to blow that up. So that is Toledo Airport right there. You can see Kilo Tango Delta Oscar, Ed Carlson Memorial Field, which is at about the 11 o'clock position. And I'm just crossing over this private airport known as Pilot's Pastures. And now I'm going to show you some video. This is not video taken on the day in question, but it is video from an underwing 4K camera that was recorded of this exact position and heading and altitude, just to give you a reference of what it is that we were seeing from the airplane at the time. Let me start by showing you the actual ground track recorded by ADS-B data. There you can see we're at 3,775 MSL. This is 12:37 p.m., about 4 minutes or so before we made the sighting. I looked out the left side of the aircraft at the Toledo Airport, which you can see is KTDO. Over there to the left, about my 11 o'clock position. Of course, because it's an airport and you obviously want to determine whether there's departing or arriving aircraft along your flight path. My southbound flight path here, as we come up to 1 Whiskey Alpha 2, you can see there, that's the Pilot's Pastures Airport. When I looked at my 11 o'clock position, I caught a metallic object and believed it to be an airplane, large object, approximately the size of a small airplane. And I looked at my ADS-B data, my ADS-B display on my ForeFlight on my iPad. I didn't see any ADS-B signature on there, so I said to my passenger, I said, "Hey, do you see that over there? Can you please keep an eye on it? It looks like they're on a convergent pathway." And she looked over there, and she saw the object too. And we were trying to determine, it looked like it was stationary. It wasn't moving, which was odd. So I thought, well, maybe it's a drone or maybe it's a balloon or something else. And then as we progressed southbound here, it began to move fairly abruptly across our flight path from east to west. So that'd be left to right. It looked like to me it was round, it was spherical in shape, it was metallic and shiny silver, basically reflecting the sunlight, but there were no control surfaces, no obvious wings, no propulsion system, so it really wasn't making any sense to me. And the fact that it was maneuvering abruptly like that caught me off guard, and my passenger as well. Neither one of us thought to break out a camera. I mean, we were taken aback by what we were seeing. And as we progress again southbound here, the object then abruptly moved toward the airplane, toward the left side of the aircraft, again from east to west, basically from southeast to northwest, and then came alongside the airplane, and I'm going to guess and say about 1,500 feet or so off the left wing, and then traveled in the opposite direction, so south to north as we were going north to south, past the airplane on the left side, and out of view because there's no windows in the back of the airplane so they could see northbound. And we kind of sat there stunned as we tried to process what it was we just saw. We discussed it on the flight, and I told her that when we get back, I'm going to analyze the data, and in the next couple of days, I'm going to make some phone calls to see if anyone else observed that object. In closing, I'm afraid this is one of those situations where there really is no conclusion. All I did here was present my own personal observations and the observations of others as has been recorded in the media. I leave it up to you to make your own decision as to what it is we saw on that day on June 1st, 2021. And as always, thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again on next flight.